I don't remember where I left off, but I am going to I am going to donate. No, until I get my ID, I am going to work on this game every day, keep improving it. Basically, just finish all the stuff I already have for it, and then make it look better down the line. I mean, then again, it looks good enough now. It doesn't really need to look better. The looking better part is just to appease people that don't really care. The looking better is if I'm not satisfied with it and I am satisfied with how it looks. I like the minimalist look of it. It doesn't need to have shit that's not. It doesn't need to have anything that's not necessary. The board is there. The pieces are there. Well, I need to actually implement the pieces. I need to figure out how to actually implement them without getting frustrated. Um, but yeah, for now I'll just keep it the words and then have everything functional, and then I'll go through and add the pieces later on. Um, but yeah, yeah. So that'll be until I get my ID. And then when I get my ID, well, license ID, whatever, same shit, I will donate to make money. To make money. Funnily enough, um, I think about how I don't make any money currently, and my cousin makes, I think it's 400 a month. But he basically makes just enough to cover his bills that he has for borderline no reason, pretty much convenience. Um, yeah, yeah, because just like me, all he covers is food and, well, yeah. My worries are food and transportation and like I don't pay for my phone. Yeah, I didn't bother getting. I don't have service on my phone. I don't. Like, there's no point for it right now. I don't need it. I need to finish this, and then I can buy whatever I want when I'm doing this. But even then, once I make this and put it out, it's not that I'm just done. I have to keep going. I'm going to keep going and going and going and going. Hopefully forever. You know. Hopefully this does get to the point where I want it to be. You know, because I have a lot of ideas and a lot of, well, yeah, just a lot of ideas and a lot of things I want to do, but I have to make this playable and functional and, I would say, appealing, but it is appealing. It's appealing to whoever likes it. I enjoy what I'm making. I enjoy I would enjoy playing the game. And if I would, there are at least thousands of other people that would too. And you don't need hundreds of thousands of millions of people to play your game for it to be successful. It could simply be enough to have a few thousand people, or a few hundred people, really. But yeah, a few thousand people, like, really 1,000 people, And realistically, you could have, yeah, 1,000, 2,000, 3,000 people. Doesn't matter, you know? It literally doesn't matter, you know? If people have time to play a free game, then they most likely have $1 that they can give you. And if that dollar contributes to the development of that game, then that's awesome. Which that's what it would that's what it would do, you know? Because ultimately what I really need is money for food, which can be covered by donations, money to save for a car, which would be covered. Well, let me scratch that. Money for food would be covered by plasma donations. Saving money for a car would be covered by sperm donations. And then money from support tokens from the game that could cover getting a car, depending on how fast the money starts coming in. It all just depends, but you can't bank on that. You have to bank on something that's actually reliable. It's actually somewhat reliable, you know? Worst case scenario, if I can only do plasma, then cool, it just takes a little longer. I will spend only what I need on food, and I will save $100 on I will save $100 every month to be able to get a car. You know? The point of that car isn't so I can now drive around. Well, it is to drive around, but the point is to drive around and make money. That's the entire point. Because then I can use that money to have help on this. You know? So, yeah. Yeah. $50 a week for food. It's $200 a month. $200 for. Oh, actually, then I couldn't do that then, huh? If I give someone $200 and I need $50 a week for food, then I couldn't do that. Then I would have to do. Oh, then actually, I guess I wouldn't be able to save anything. So yeah, I guess I would have to bank on the game then. Yeah. Well, no, because that first month I would be able to I'd be able to save 500. If it's 800 for the first month, then that's 200 for food, 1,000 or 100 for no 200 for stay, and then 100 for food. Which is 25 a week for food, which is fine. It's not that deep. And in reality, it's easier when I figure out how to make fucking beans, because every time I make them, I fuck them up. Every single time. I fuck them up, bro. That's the annoying part. Like right now, I technically have enough food to last 3 weeks. But I don't know how to make the beans. It's not that I don't know how to. I know how to make them. I just fuck them every time I make them. And you can't risk fucking up beans because you're wasting food, and you don't really want to poison yourself, you know. But yeah, but getting like just straight beans, it's great. Sure, not straight beans, but like just whole beans rather than like canned beans, because they're cheaper. You just it just costs time to make them, which is fine. You can't just open the can and put it in a bowl and then, well, you can't make rice and then open the can and put it in a bowl, you know? Like even like bagged rice is fucking awesome. Because rice is easy to make no matter how you get it, whether it's bagged, whether it's in a box, doesn't matter. It's all the same process. It's all the exact same process. So, rice is awesome. It's just beans take a while. But yeah, you know? And then let's say you want breakfast or you want 2 meals instead of 1 meal a day. Cool. You could buy a carton of eggs and you have rice, obviously. So rice and an egg, and then an egg and a carton of eggs. Like what, $10? I think, maybe like a little less. It's like okay, cool. That's an extra $10. Okay, that's $40 a week. And a carton of eggs is 12. So technically, no. It would actually end up being like three 3 weeks because if a carton's 12, then that's almost 2 weeks. Meaning, if you buy one every week, you'd have it. You'd eventually carry over eggs to the next following week, or I mean to the next like month. You'd eventually have like a whole month's worth of eggs, but you can't buy them that fast because in that you're just not. I don't know. You're not necessarily wasting eggs, but you would have more than you need, if that makes sense. Um, but yeah, one egg. But then again, if you did two, then that would last a week. So yeah, then you just have more eggs, so that'd be cool. I mean, then you'd have more egg per meal, so that's cool. So 2 eggs, rice for breakfast, and then rice and beans later on in the day, which is great. That's a great day. You know, that's a great day's worth of food. You do that every day, and yeah, you know, you're living frugally, fuck, frugally. What does frivolous mean? I forget what frivolous means. Hold on, let me look it up. No, that was a Z. Frivolous. Frivolous? No, not frivolous. Frivol.
Frivolous.
Yeah, frivolous. Not having any serious purpose or value. Okay, never mind. That's not what I meant. No. So yeah, um, fuck. What was the other one? Fri Frugal. That's what it was. Yeah, sparing or economical with yeah, sparing or economical with regard to money or food. Yeah, there we go. Yeah, frugal.
Frugal.
Yeah, frugal. Um, yeah, you live a very frugal lifestyle. You have more than you need all the time, essentially. You know, you know what I mean. You basically for maybe not a month, but like a week or so, you see how much you spend on the same things, and then you do that for a month, and then if you have extra over for like within your budget, if you have extra um for that week, then you just spend that extra on the same things, and you just that would kind of act as like emergency food, if that makes sense, you know. And even then, you can still live the exact same way when you have more money than you can ever need. You would just be able to you would be able to add more to those meals, you know. So instead of having just rice, just rice, two eggs, and two eggs for breakfast, you could have rice, two eggs, and carrots, or rice, two eggs, carrots, and green beans, or I don't know, something else to add, you know. And then same thing for dinner: rice, beans, and I don't know. I'm a very simple person. Like I quite literally cannot think of anything else. Oh, actually, no. Then I could actually start buying the There's like vegan stuff. Yeah, there's vegan um food too. Oh, and tofu. Tofu's fucking awesome. Tofu's so good. In a weird way, it tastes like nothing, but almost something. If that makes sense. Or it tastes like nothing and something at the same time. Um, yeah, yeah. And then later down the line, when I'm making billions, well, I guess it wouldn't be just me at that point. It would be probably probably me and a bunch of other people. Um, we could then invest in things, you know, um, invest in things that actually not push society, but realistically, you could invest in like small businesses that are essential for a community, you know, and then that's essentially it, you know, meaning you invest in something that is sustainable foods. The fuck you invest in something that contributes to sustainable foods that don't or that cause the least amount of suffering. So like not killing animals, you know, basically just plant based products and just plants in general, and then um, 3D printed housing, but like for the average person, if that makes sense. Which that's already a thing, yes, but I mean that as in like I guess a way you could do it is you essentially buy land and build 3D printed housing and then put it up for rent, basically, you know. And then because you're the one that owns it and you don't need them to pay you fucking extreme amounts of money for them to have this place to stay, 500 a month rent, you know, 500 a month, you know, and then that's it. You know what I mean? Pay 500, we give you a key, boom, boom, at your place for a month. Or you can pay whatever you want. You could pay 1,000, 2,000, whatever, and you have it for 4 months or whatever it is. You know, you could just keep paying on it or you could just keep paying into it and you just have it for longer and longer and longer and longer and longer. Repairs are easy to fix because it's all 3D printed, you know. Pipes 3D printed, metal 3D printer, you know. Housing, metal, and I don't know what else. Um, I think you can. No, you can't 3D print concrete, but you can. There's like machines for it and stuff. I don't know. Um, but yeah, there's a lot though. There's a lot you can do. Blah, 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 blah. But yeah. Plus, there's also like venturing into um the endless potential of AR and VR stuff. I see. It might not be Pokemon. It might just. I mean, I don't know. I'd probably. I mean, I would end up making a knockoff of all these different games, but like a knockoff Pokemon, but where we sell like AR devices, customizable AR devices. So basically, it would kind of be like custom made every time. That you wouldn't. We wouldn't sell like an individual, or like we wouldn't sell like basic ones. We would kind of just sell custom made, um, custom made AR visors or VR visors, basically. You know, and then that way you see the creatures and stuff in your world essentially. Like imagine, yeah, basically it's Digimon, Pokemon, but you can only see them through this technology. You know, technically they're all around you, but you don't have access to, I guess, the plane of existence that they live on because they only exist through these devices. If that makes sense. Yeah. Uh, but that's much, much, much further down the line. Much further down the line. I also think of like my childhood and watching Beyblade and seeing how basically all of those anime where it's like kid centric and they all have like toys that are also fucking weapons of mass destruction type shit. But you have that kind of you kind of bring that kind of reality into our world. You know what I mean? And eventually we will reach technological capabilities to be able to actually make those things for real. Um, they'd probably be huge though. They probably wouldn't be fucking as small as a kid's hand. They'd probably eventually get to that point, but they'd start out it sort of as fucking huge ultimately. You know, but it's I know it would obviously be easier to do. I do it would probably it would probably start or it would be easier to do that in like a digital reality. Obviously, it's easier to make a fucking Beyblade game than a real functional Beyblade that you have control over or influence over. But that would also be like I don't understand why. I genuinely do not understand why like people that have a lot of money like these are like the easiest and simplest things you could possibly do to incorporate AI into stuff. Beyblades are essentially fucking spinning top toys that are made of metal and plastic that have AI inside of them that actually respond to you. Not in like the sense where like go there and it goes, but in the sense that you effectively have like a relationship with like an actual relationship with this thing, with this entity, essentially. But in our case, it could possibly be able to talk to you, you know? But I guess in real life, you would have to have an external device to where you have it on you and the Beyblade literally talks to you like a person. Because it would be a person, it would just be a person that's kind of governed by by its own limited existence, if that makes sense. There could be there could be the capabilities for it to spin on its own, if that makes sense. Well, especially if it's digital, it could just like start up spinning and then it spins and moves on its own and everything. But if it's physical, then that would be probably a lot hard. Well, maybe I don't know. It might be harder, might be easier. I don't know, actually. But we can figure it out. Humans are pretty smart. Humans with AI are even smarter. But that's it. I'm rambling at this point. That's my plan, pretty much. I'm gonna keep working on this game um, until I get my license again, and then I'm gonna go and start donating plasma, make money from that, and then I'm going to save the bit I can from that while working on this, so I can buy a car, and then use that to do DoorDash again, and save money this time so I can maintain the car as well as use that to also I need to buy a solar powered generator as well. Not generator, but like the mini thing. And it's really just so I can use my laptop. That's really all. It doesn't need to be fucking huge. But I could buy a solar panel, put that on top of the car, hook that up to the mini generator thing, and then connect my laptop to that. And then get phone service, um, then get phone service and the little Wi-Fi box that can come with it. And that way I have Wi-Fi, and boom, boom. Now I have mobile living. I can sleep, eat in my car. Also get a gym membership as well. That would be a place to relieve myself and shower. That's down the line though. That's much further down the line. Yeah, yeah. Granted, um, living outside would be smarter financially because I would be able to save 200 rather than using it. Well, I guess I only end up being able to, or I'd only being able to, I would only be able to save 100 because I would need 100 for food, gym membership, and then I also need to buy a backpack, consolidate my clothing, and a sleeping bag. Which no, that means I'd end up saving the first month. I would save like 600, and then I use 100 for food. 100 for food. Um, and then backpack and sleeping bag. You know, but yeah, I don't know. I don't know because it's just I'm thinking about all the different advice, the different bits of advice I've gotten over the years, and it's seen as shameful and terrible, but you could choose to live on the streets. And by that, I mean as a healthy, functional person living on the streets, not like someone who's forced to because they fucked over their life and they're like stuck on drugs. But I mean like as a functional person, you could live outside and actually make more and be able to live fine that way because one, you would be at peace You wouldn't have anyone to deal. You wouldn't have to deal with anyone. You know, people don't bother you because they assume you're homeless, which technically you would be, but you're not like crazy homeless or drugged up homeless. You're just a person that's choosing to live outside, if that makes sense. Um, yeah. But even then, for me, it would be more so that I'm. Yeah, you choose to live that way. You can go to a Starbucks from the time they open to the time they close and work on the game. And then basically sleep until they open again. Go off somewhere, sleep until they open again. And then do that every day, basically. And then advertising easy. Advertising's pretty fucking easy. You just post about it, literally. You just post it in different places, game subreddits or like indie dev subreddits, Twitter, gain followers. People will check out your game, they'll play it, and it's free, so you're not spending anything, but you could support it by buying an in-game support thing for $1. The sad part is though, because it's Steam, they take so much money. They take 30%. But I don't know if it's they take 30% from sales or they. I mean, well, they take 30% from sales, but I don't know if you sell in-game things, they take 30% of that as well. You know, because if that's the case, then there's no point in putting an in-game thing. You might as well tell people to send you money through PayPal then instead. You know, that would make more sense. But I don't know. But even then, if that's the case, then I would do instead of $1 for 3 months, it would be $2 for 3 months. Or I guess $2 a month would actually be it would be smarter. It's like I don't know, man. I don't know. I don't know. Because at times I think about how like a lot of people don't. Because my goal with this ultimately is to make it so that people can make items in a game and then sell them to each other. You know, so that people can make money with a game, with a video game. You know, basically how CS:GO has loot boxes, how you pull from a loot box and you can sell those items on a market. People buy them. There are cosmetic skins, yeah, but pretty much similar system, but you're not getting random shit. Everything you're buying, someone else made, basically. You know, everything you're buying, someone else made somewhere at some point. You know what I mean? But yeah. But then the weird issue is that I don't know, cause it's odd because like you always have to remember that the people like everyone the people that so like there's some people that complain about how there's subscriptions everywhere, right? And realistically, you can't subscribe to every single person that you watch. Like I am subscribed to probably hundreds of people now on YouTube, and a good third of them have Patreons or Ko-Fis or Ko-Fis or whatever, you know, different subscription things. Um, you know, and lots of them start out at $1. You know what I mean? And realistically, most people aren't like me. Most people have some kind of income coming in. You know, most people can spare money. Most people that are on the internet can spare money. You know, the internet is free, so you're not not internet itself, but to explore the internet, it's free for the most part. So yeah, I don't know. It's just I don't know. Part of me thinks about people that complain about subscriptions, but then a good chunk of me is thinking $2 isn't gonna kill you. Especially the longer the subscription is. If it's $2 every 6 months, then you can definitely do it because you're not paying that every week, or you're not paying that every month. You're not paying it every 2 months. You're not paying it every 3 months. You're paying it every 3 months or every 6 months. You know. But the point is that if Steam takes 30%, then at least if I do $2, I'm at least making $1 from each contribution. You know. In reality, it's like oh wait, no, I wouldn't. Oh yeah, I would. Never mind. Yeah, yeah, could yeah. So that would be $1.40 every time, basically. Yeah, and that's a direct payout. So, or I think it's a direct payout. I don't actually know how payouts work. I don't know if it's to your PayPal, if it's to your bank account. I don't know. Hopefully, it's to your bank account because PayPal also takes a cut, which fucking sucks. PayPal takes $1 or takes like it just sucks that all these things take fucking they take a cut. Everything takes the more middlemen there are, the more cuts that are being taken out, and it fucking sucks ass. You know, if you donate $5 to someone's Ko-Fi, they're really getting $4 because PayPal takes a cut. You know, PayPal takes a fucking cut, and it's understandable because it 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 takes energy and effort and time and to do these transactions. At the end of the day, it's not the end of the world. It's only an issue in the beginning when less people care about what you're doing. You know, but you have to do it constantly. You have to do this constantly so that people eventually see you and they care. And the weird part is that in the beginning, in the beginning, people they see you and they just don't care. Especially if you give everything away for free, they really don't care, I guess, because it's free. They don't have to give you anything. You know? I don't know. I don't know. I just have a lot of different people's opinions wrapped around all in my head, and they shouldn't be, but they are because I've heard them throughout my life. Just like we all have. And it makes things difficult because you're thinking of all these other opinions except for your own. And you can't sit and just do things. And I think about how we all live, how how we're all choosing to live this way. And it's not necessarily like, oh, capitalism bad type thing. It's that we're all living above our means and then complaining about every little thing around us. It's not an issue of living above your means if you can afford it. But you don't need all this shit. We don't need all this shit. That doesn't mean tear it all down because we don't need it. Keep it because it's fucking fun. But don't sit and complain about all this shit that you don't need. And I know this is all really, really, really vague. I know. I get it. I know. It's like a house, for example, right? You don't actually need a house. You want a house. There's nothing wrong with wanting a house, though, for example, right? It makes more sense to me to live out of your car, live on what you need, save, and buy a house. Or, fuck that, save, start a business, buy a land, and build a house on there, on that land. Now you own the land and the house. You know? If you live below your means, out of a car, you can do gig jobs to have enough food and gas and focus on a business, you know? And a business could be anything. It could be as simple as learning to code or using AI to make a game. Making a good, fun game. People play it. You make more money. The better the game, or maybe the better the game, the more simpler the game, the more interesting the game, the more money you make. It really just depends on what you're making and why you're making it, and not even really why you're making it, because there are a lot of people that make fucking that make apps, and they make the same cookie cutter formula games, and they make a shit ton of money. You know? Maybe you're making a kids game, or you could even make an educational game. There's a lot of different things you can do. There are tons of things you could make. Things that haven't been made before, or things that have been made but in different ways. You know? Then you make money, and then you just keep going. You just go and go and go and go and go. And then you eventually use that to buy a house. So that you can fill it with shit you don't need. So that you can be stuck in one place. Or you could use that money to renovate a bus. So that you can live in a mobile home. And not pay anyone to live anywhere. That would actually be better. That would be better. But that's it. I'm rambling. Have a good day.